and people tend to that's why people tend to assume that they're actually living effectively. And then that's how people tend to get overwhelmed, saying that, oh, where will I start from? It just feels like there's a whole lot of things to do. So that's why I'm very keen on really breaking it down and simplifying it for us this morning. So let me just move on to presenting on the slide. I'll try to be switching. For some reason, I can't view Zoom while I'm here, but then I'll be switching if anyone wants to do pulse check. So I'll just start off. Yeah, this is it. Basically, the focus, like I said, is simplify, strategize, and succeed. That is basically the thread or the trail that we're going to be taking. You're going to be simplifying, then you strategize, and then you leads you to success. Now, your personal what's it called, effectiveness blueprint. I'm going to be sharing with us a framework today that we can easily remember and then we can work with. All right, this is just a simple about me, and then why I'm sharing this is because it's very relevant to this particular session. I find that one of the things that people tend to find difficult is to tell about themselves, or to actually define who they are. And then that's actually what every other thing in your life really sits on. And this 5F framework for me is something that has really helped me get super clarity as to who I am, who I'm working towards becoming. And it helps me to really be more intentional about the decisions I'm taking, and then the actions I'm taking and all that. So for me, starting out with my faith, that's priority. I am a Christian, I am a child of God, I love God, and my sole purpose in life is to make Jesus known and to ensure that everybody hears about it. Family for me is next important after faith. I'm happily and proudly married to my husband, and then I have 2 children. Then fulfillment for me literally falls within activities that I do not primarily for profit, but to give back, and also to what's it called now, but also to live in the fullness of where I am. So fulfillment for me is Green Cedar Expressions, currently the founder of Green Cedar Expressions, where we are focused on helping people walk through their healing journey whilst they are targeting intentional living. So that's basically what we do. And also Success Within International is definitely one of my fulfillment outlets. And then it's just an opportunity to really give back. And then that's just amazing. Finance for me covers all the businesses where I'm partnering at PMP Orb, at Nicole, project management outfits. And then this femininity, the why I put this here, I would have taken it up because it feels like it's quite personal. But why I put this here is because I feel like someone could learn from this. And then one of the things I learned is that there's a difference between personality and persona. And a lot of people really mix these things up, and then they drive themselves towards something that is not authentic just because they feel they've always known themselves like that. And then this is the difference. Your personality is your inborn traits. It's who God says you are, is your authentic self. While your persona are facades and masks and things that you've had to become to respond to your environment. Now you find someone that is just naturally very angry, is quick to get angry, is not interested in some certain types of joke, or even if everybody's happy, it's like, why are you laughing? And then that kind of a person will come and tell you, that's just how I am. Like, I don't have time for nonsense. But when you actually dig deep and realize, okay, where is this person coming from? You will now realize that no, that's not you. That's who you have become because you're trying to adapt to your environment. So this is the first assignment for everybody. And I feel like I had to do this myself. In fact, I had to go back to watching my 1 year old. Thank God I had that recording. I had to go back to watching my 1 year old birthday to actually even see what were my dispositions like. I asked my parents questions. What was success like? Or at that time, I wasn't very successful, but what was baby success like, when I was small? And then this just helps you really know where you're starting from. Then you can now pick that into the word of God and define who you are. So why I put this here is this. I grew up with like, what's it called now, with so many masculine models around me. Even the people that were meant to be feminine were tomboys. So over the years, I've not been one to know myself as, oh, very charismatic, put together, feminine and whatever. And I believe that that is not just me. But now sitting into myself to understand who the God made me to be, what is my authentic self like, it's now something I'm really embracing and actively working towards. So I shared this because I know that somebody would benefit from that. So understanding the difference between your personality and your persona, and you need to know the difference for yourself. All right, so moving on to today, this is what we're going to be covering for today. We're going to be covering what's it called now, unraveling personal effectiveness. We'll be having a quick pulse check, and then we'll be having, some level of introversion, habituation. I'm going to run you through this phase as we go, then we wrap up. So this is going to be our major focus, which will be the 3 steps. Then we'll wrap up for today. So before I move on, I need to check, are we still here? Are we good? Are we still here? I would rather you guys unmute your mic. All right. Okay. 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 Beautiful. All right. So good. So good. So good. So we're going to start off with the pulse check. I'm coming. Let me just stop sharing here. We're going to be doing a quick pulse check. And then what I need you guys to do, if you can use your phone, you don't need to have a pen or paper. We're just going to be doing a little mathematics. All right. So don't worry, you're good. So we're going to be doing answering some basic questions, and then you'll just be summing it up, and I'll tell you how it goes. Don't worry. Let me know when you can see my screen again. I'm trying to move this. All right, so I just want to ensure that, okay, let me just present straight from Canva. I think that works best. All right, so can you guys see my screen now? Please, someone unmute. I can't see your chat at the moment, so please unmute
Yes,
and speak
ma'am.
with me.
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so now moving into the presentation for today. This is basically the presentation roadmap I was talking about, and then we're going to be having a pulse check, and I'll be running you through the 3 pillars for today, and then we'll wrap up. Okay. So now, just to give us a quick basic understanding of personal effectiveness, and I would like to first start with debunking what it is not. Why am I starting from here? Is so that we can have our minds clear and unlearn what is already existing, so that we can actually learn properly. You don't put new wine into old wine skin. You fix the wine skin, and then you pour in the new wine. So personal effectiveness is not being busy. um it's not perfectionism. It's not you getting everything right, like everything in your life is all right. Like, I am literally giving you guys a talk today on personal effectiveness. I am not coming here to tell you that I have everything in my life sorted out. So that is not the concept of personal effectiveness, and it's not actually being busy. I find a lot of people, they are up and down around a lot of things. They basically cannot take a hold of their life. And then you now find that when you sit down to see a lot of the things that people are doing, you're like, why are you so much in a hustle? And then I think for me, the concept of busyness in the terms of activity based, you're just driving up and down on activity. And then the reason why I'm actually even um it actually is just something I'm repulsed to, is because I understand that the concept of work is meant to be intentional and is meant to be strategic. But when you're actually going around every single thing that's available to be done, that is not being effective. It's not about quantity, it's not about the amount of things you're doing, or you're doing more things. So your idea is that after you've come in for this session, the plan is not for you to get busy after the session or do more after the session. No. It's not multitasking. And then this one hits me because over the years, I've always bragged as, oh, I'm a multitasker, that is a skill for me and all that. But then studying more and more and actually even really seeing the effect, multitasking is very much discouraged, because what it does for you is that it actually reduces your level of IQ with some certain percentage within the time that you're actually multitasking. So there are a few things I found, and I said I had to read it out to us because I was shocked myself. And it says that every multitaskers that or multitaskers that switch between multiple activities usually lowers the IQ by as much as 15 points, right? While task switchers tend to complete work more slowly and make more mistakes. And he's saying that switching tasks gives the impression that you're accomplishing multiple things at once, or you are more active. But then the reality is, however, the opposite. So a lot of the times, we've always had this glorifying multiple things. It's always better to really say, I want to do this task and I'm going to spend 25 minutes doing it. Once I'm done with it, I'm going to move to the next task. There's a lot of science around that, but I won't delve into that. Personal effectiveness is not instant success. Let's rule that out already. And then it's not a one size fits all thing. So I had to put this here is because I will be sharing with you some templates. I'll be showing you some practical things that I do myself, and also be showing you like my own overview of my own personal template. But it is not a one size fits all. So the whole idea is you get the concept, you see how it works, and then you can tailor it to yourself. So have that in mind. All right. So what exactly is personal effectiveness? We are looking at consistently making the right choices, right? The right choices. I would definitely delve into this. The right choices is actually very relative and can be tailored to you. What is a right choice for you might not be a right choice for another person. In fact, what is a right choice for you in a certain season might not be the right choice for you in another season. So consistently making the right choice is actually something that is very paramount. Then two, you have optimal use of resources. This is actually something that's very important. Your ability to be able to look at the resources you have, time, money, people, relationships, and be able to use it optimally. Then lastly, you have aligning actions with values. Very important. Like I said, it's not just about doing things, it's about doing things that actually aligns with your core. And I'll be delving more into that when we're talking about the pillars of personal effectiveness, right? So personal effectiveness goes beyond personal achievement and professional achievement. And then I had to put this here because a lot of people are literally living in a facade, or they are literally living in a bubble, because people tend to get they tend to have that false sense of peace just because, oh, I have my career is going well, I'm professionally sound, or then they just look very put together. Because one thing the corporate does for you is that it helps you put together, it helps you maintain your steez, it helps you know how to show up. But then that alone does not define personal effectiveness. It spans between multiple areas of your life: health, relationship, personal growth, and more. So it's actually about balance. And I think here I'm very keen on this, because why I highlighted balance is because a lot of people really mistake balance for equity. It is not equity. The idea is to get harmony. Now harmony means that every part of my life is getting as much as they require for that phase that I'm in. So in a phase that I'm in, say currently now I'm in a phase whereby I'm raising toddlers. Now I cannot say that I'm going to give the same amount of time I'm giving to my toddlers or raising my toddlers to the amount of time I'm going to be giving to a business, to the amount of time I'm going to be giving. No, it doesn't work. Maybe when I was in school, or rather, not even maybe, when I was in school, I usually would plan by the hour. I would have what I'm doing for 9 to 8, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. It was that detailed. And most of the times I keep to my schedule, nothing missing, nothing is actually affecting it. But now I'm in a different phase of life where I have to actually be more flexible. My method of planning has to be different for me to be more effective. So it's your ability to really achieve that balance. All right. So let's move quickly to the fact that your, what's it called now, personal effectiveness is not a trait. This is very important to note. It's not a trait. It's not something that you're born with. So it's not like, oh, once you don't have like your personal effectiveness, you are done for. No, it's a learned skill. In fact, nobody was born with it. You usually will learn it based on your experiences, based on exposures, based on what you're taught, what you're being taught. And which is why being here is actually a very good step towards enhancing where you are, or even starting off if you've not started at all. So personal effectiveness can be learned and developed. It's about progress and not perfection. You can continually improve by refining your habits, enhancing your mindset, and optimizing your systems. Okay, so these are some of the key characteristics of personal effectiveness. So you can look at this as a metric to say, okay, how effective am I living in my life? First is self-awareness. Do you have a clear knowledge of your strengths, your weaknesses, and emotional responses? Or are you just like, oh, guessing along the way? Your level of focus, your ability to concentrate your effort on a high impact task. Now, how focused can you get? Do you easily get swayed off by distraction? Next is consistency. I think consistency is like the cheat sheet of the whole game of personal effectiveness. Is you being able to build sustainable habits that support your long-term growth. And then lastly, you have adaptability, which is balancing your structures and flexibility to respond to change effectively. So these are the different characteristics of, obviously this is not exhaustive, but these are the key ones that you naturally will find when you're looking at personal effectiveness, right? So now moving on quickly to the pulse check for today. Please, are we ready? Are we ready? Please unmute your mic and speak with me. Are you guys ready? We're going to take the pulse check. Are we still here?
Yes, we
Yes,
are.
ma'am.
Yes, we
Thank
are.
you. So this is how the pulse check will go. You already can see on the slide. Strongly agree is one. I mean, strongly disagree is one. Two is disagree. 3 is neutral, 4 is agree, 5 is strongly agree. I'm sure you guys have answered survey these questions and all that, so you know how it goes. We are going to be checking through 3 different pillars, and then you'll be answering the questions and you'll be summing it up. All right. So this is the first one. The first question, I feel confident that I understand my strengths and weaknesses. So you can just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're not really sure, put a 3. If you're sure that you can highlight at least 3 of your strengths, 3 of your weaknesses, you can put a 4, 5. You know, my self-worth is not easily shaken by external criticisms or failure. So put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't worry, it's just you and you. So you're not trying to be sincere with yourself as much as possible, because I'm not going to ask you to share everybody. No, 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 there's no need. Even if you're going to share anything, it's going to be your overall score, and it's not going to be, just ensure that you're vulnerable, tell yourself the truth. I often reflect on my values and make decisions that align with them. Is this something you do often? Is this something you don't? Maybe it doesn't cross your mind, or you get caught up with the business of life. You don't even get the time to think. So put in your answer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then let's move on to habits. I have daily or weekly routines that help me stay productive and focused. So if it's something, this one, you don't think about it. Do you have weekly routines? Do you have daily routines? Is a yes or no. So it's either you strongly agree or you strongly disagree. All right. So I take intentional. So you know this, rate yourself. I regularly evaluate and adjust my habits to improve efficiency. Okay. All right, so let's move to the third one, which is system. I use tools or systems, either calendar, task manager, whatever, to organize my tasks and priorities. It could even be maybe your phone reminder, whatever it is. It might be your notes, it might be even a to-do list. So whatever it is, I use tools or systems to organize my tasks and priorities. Then I break down my long-term goals into manageable steps and track progress. Then I can identify areas of my life where I lack structure and take steps to correct them. So, yeah, that is all. Answer the questions, answer the questions, answer the questions. If you're done, let me know. If you're done, let me know that you're done. Don't worry, the first person to be done, just unmute and say I'm done. I'll take your answer on behalf of everybody.
I'm done.
I'm done.
All right, beautiful. So you can sum it up. I'm sure you're done summing it up, right? Let me know when you're done summing it up so that I can show you guys what the result is and the metrics.
I'm done.
All right. So I take it that Ajali is done, so everybody's done. Okay, so if you got between 15 to 24, you are in the early awareness stage. It means that your self-perception and habits may still need alignment with your deeper purpose, and more structures could help you increase your effectiveness. So not bad, but then you have work to do. If your result is between 25 and 34, you are in the developing consistency stage. You have established certain habits and systems, but there's still room for you to improve your mindset and your routines for greater growth. All right. So and then C, if you are between the 35 to 45 bandwidth, it means that you are thriving, you're thriving effectively, and then your perceptions, habits, and systems are aligned and working together. You're likely performing at a high level of personal effectiveness and can build even more success by fine-tuning specific areas. So you most likely will just help us take the remaining part of today's session. So I'm going to come into this thing now to check. All right. So I want to see us. I want to see us. ABC, ABC. Don't worry. Just type ABC. Where did you fall into? A, B, or C? A, B, or C? Right. Veronica, you don't like yourself. Don't worry. There's no this thing about it. It's just to help us really see where we are, so that we know where we are starting from today. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Beautiful. Okay, I can see B, I can see A's. That's fine. That's fine. Remember, A starts from 15, so it's not anything, it's not like you're in a bad place. All right. So now, Veronica, you have the you now have the confidence to put in your scores. When you're seeing you're not the only one. That's the environmental influence for you. Yay, Mama K. Mama K should probably come and continue this class. I said anybody that falls with this should I'm just going to hand over, and I'm like, you guys just finished. As in, I was like, oh no, if you're a C, you probably should just come and continue this session so that I can just rest and then, so you guys know what to go to for tutorials, chase on market. She's running away, chase her like that. She's going. All right. So I think we're good to go and to continue on this session. Really, I think it's just really amazing. The whole concept so that you know where you are and then you already know what you should focus on as I'm speaking through today's session. So let's just move to it. Okay. All right. So moving on. Now, this particular framework, I literally, what's it called, curated it. And then it's actually a combination of several materials that I had checked. And then currently writing a book really on intentional living manual. And then a lot of research really has gone into that resource and all that. So this actually is a framework that I have broken down into detail in that book. But then I thought to share this here, and I will be sharing just the first three out of this five-step framework. And then it's actually something that I find that a lot of people tend to overlook, right? So this is a phase. It's focused on helping you to transform your habits, your systems, and your mindsets for intentional living. So the first phase, that's the P, is the perception, right? It focuses on how you see yourself and your goals. A lot of the times, right, people tend to jump into I want to fix my habit. I want to do 90 days challenge of transformation, 30 days, this, that, this, that. And then you find that you always get stuck or you always just want, well, move on. And then you give yourself a very perfect, fantastic excuse, or you just act like you never started in the first place just to help yourself feel good. Perception is where it starts from. Currently in Green City, we're currently doing a review of 40 Days So Fast. And then one of the things that I noted from that particular book is by Cindy Trin, by the way. One of the things I noted is that the soul is literally your decision seat. It's literally what drives your life, your decision making, your perception about life. And we find that a lot of people are focused on either business, finances, relationship, every other thing. Like if this today now had been called, say, a relationship, whatever, or a money series, you find that a lot of people like, oh, I need to go and I need to know how to make money and everything. And then you don't pay attention to the very thing that drives every other thing. Because and the funny thing was that what I even found is that even your spirituality and your ability to transmit things from the spirit into your physical reality is dependent on your soul. It depends on the health of your soul. And then I'm like, so what are we doing? Like, why are we running everywhere? Why can't we sit in, fix the foundation, get the basic? Because even the Bible says that when the foundation of the righteous is faulty, when the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? Okay, so it's important that we start off from the place of perception, and I'll be dwelling a bit on this today. Then we'll move to arbitration. That's where it comes to creating and curating your habits and all that. And then after creating your habits, and then this actually the was drawn from Atomic Habits. That's and then Jim Clare's Atomic Habits, and then Stevie Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So you have arbitration, which is your daily action, that helps you to build your future. Literally, your knowledge doesn't change your life. The fact that you are in this class will not do anything to you. I'm promising you. If you do not take actions, you are as good as the person that did not attend. In fact, you are worse off, because there will be that sense of guilt that you knew this thing and you just didn't take action. So that's not where I want you guys to be. So today, please be focused on what action can I take from today's class. Then the next thing is alignment. Alignment speaks to creating systems that allows your different actions to fit in together to reflect your values, to ensure that the actions you're taking actually reflects the core values that you have, and also looking for opportunities to automate, to reduce the active effect that you need to put into place for your life to run. And then the next really is 5 and 6, and I'm not going to talk, 4 and 5, and I'm not going to touch that in this particular session. If you want to see that, you probably just buy the book when it comes out. All right, so let's move on. We'll start off with the first roadmap, which is perception, and this is the foundation of personal effectiveness, right? Like I said earlier, perception is the lens through which you see the world and you see yourself, right? This is too important, because no matter how much I tell you that you can actually live effectively, if you have the mindset that I can't, you can't have it all, Jare. All those motivational speakers, they started again. If you have that mindset, there is no English that anybody can tell you. In fact, somebody can literally give you the key like this and say just open the door, and then you will still not open it because you feel like, more I beg, it doesn't work. Your perception is important. It dictates how you interpret your abilities, interpret how you interpret your opportunities, how you interpret challenges, and making it the foundation of your personal effectiveness. Because if you have a skewed perception of either yourself or the people around you or the world in general, it makes it very difficult for you to be able to take steps. There was something I heard recently, I think it was from Fun when she was having a live session, and that thing really shook me. That when you look at existence, existence is neither bad nor good. And then she spoke about the fact that whenever anything happens, in fact, she was talking about the economy at the time, which was why it was so painful, because everybody is complaining that this economy, we don't understand it. But then this was the illustration. The economy it's neither bad nor good. To some people, this economy is amazing because they have been able to access opportunities that they've not been able to access in years. To some people, the economy is whack. And now it just shows you that whatever is happening in your life is either good or bad, depending on your perspective and your perception. So that automatically tells you that for you to be able to create anything effectively, you have to first sit down to see, how am I looking at this thing? Is there a different way to look at it? How do I position myself in a way that I have a positive outlook to this thing that is happening? I was giving a practical example. I think I can't remember the scripture now, but then the exact where the scripture is, I think it's Isaiah or something, and it was saying something like, "Sorry, I'm a Christian, no, unapologetically, so bear with me." So, um, now the scripture that says that that you will not, that instead of shame you will receive double honor. And then for me, I was actually processing that because I'm like, instead of shame. And in my brain, this thing had been written like decades ago or centuries ago, right? And then why is it that as a believer, I have gone through certain difficult times. I probably have gone through, say, an assault or something. And then I'm like, does it mean that this scripture is not correct in my life? That I don't understand. I need the explanation. Because when you tell me instead of, you are telling me, it means that you tell me I'm going to take rice instead of beans. It means that I'm not going to have to eat beans. I'm going to be eating just rice, right? And then in my brain, I was asking, so what does that mean? Does that mean that this scripture is not true in my life or something like that? And then this was the scenario. I shared it with a few people recently. And this was the scenario the Holy Spirit dropped in my heart, which just made everything make sense. It was saying that, for example, say we were planning a surprise party for Osho now. I don't know, as Osho that came to my, say we are planning a surprise party for Osho now. And then because Osho is stubborn, it's hard for you to get him to go anywhere. No matter the story you tell him, he will just give you one excuse that he will find out. We now say, do you know what happened? Ajale now and Tolu, we are going to plan that you guys, Abi Ajale and Isaac and Busaya, you guys would, kidnap Osho from maybe one point or something like that. And then you would drive him, blindfold him and drive him till you get him to the venue so that we can get there and everybody can shout surprise, right? Now, let's now move back to Osho and what is happening in Osho's mind. If Osho has been kidnapped, the time between the time where he was kidnapped, blindfolded, in fact, they tried to hit him a few times to make it look real and everything. If you ask Osho what that experience is, he will most likely have every negative description for that experience. But in a matter of time, after you take Osho from that car, it gets to the location and everybody got surprised and it's like, oh my God. If you ask Osho about that day, he can tell you that this is the best day of my life. Do you understand? So what happened? It's literally the same day. It's literally the same sequence of activities. But what made it different was that you had already seen the bigger picture of it. You're no longer looking from like the small picture of this activity that happened. You are already seeing it as a portfolio to say, okay, oh, now I see. So that's actually how we should look at the things that happen in our life. A positive and empowered perception shapes how you approach life and sets the stage for success. So imagine that you already know that this thing, no matter how, and this is where being a believer comes in, we are not really at loss or we are not unaware. It's not a mystery to us as to what the end picture is. But a lot of the time, we have not come to a place whereby we actually see ourselves as it. It says that it's working in us to ensure that we get to perfection, even as we move towards even as we move towards the day of Christ. So we already know that it is the intention of God for you as a believer to live effectively, to strive, and to also ensure that every aspect of your life is given, like giving. All right. So the role, and then these are the few three things I'm going to be touching today, which is the role of the internal locus of control and your soul, perception and esteem formation, the seat of decision, and how perception shapes your choices. So first thing, on your internal locus of control, I touched on this a bit already when I was talking about the soul. Really, it's whatever you see outside you is a product of what is inside you. I was sharing yesterday with a few people saying that you are totally responsible for where you are now. It seems like a very harsh and a soft thing to say, but I had to come to the realization myself. You know, you obviously at birth you look like your parents and all that. Well, I'm sure most of us have heard this before, but now you look like your decision. Where you are today is a result of the decisions you made yesterday, your decisions or your indecision, and your decision seats from your internal locus, which is where your soul drives in. So it's important for you to pay attention to that. This is a full conversation on its own. In fact, in my book, I literally have like 3 to 4 5 pages on this, making it practical, because it's something that people do not pay attention to. But for you as a person, you need to actually pay attention to that, to your perception, your esteem formation, because the way you see things is actually what informs your esteem. You find people who tell you that I feel like I'm ugly, and then you're like, are you, are you not seeing yourself? Because you're like, like if I can, and this is actually a practical example. For the longest time, I've always wanted to have a long face. Very, very funny. But then I've always wanted to have a long face. And I've always been feeling bad, like, why don't I have a long face, for Christ's sake? Then all of a sudden, my sister was born. She now came with a long face. So in my brain, I was very angry. You see the face I'm looking for. So it was very random, one random. I didn't even know how the conversation went to that. And then my sister was like, she really wished she had, her face was like round, and like, who is this one? Do you get? So a lot of the times we are not able to appreciate what we have because we're not looking from the right lens, which is why one of the prayers always will pray, I started praying and I will still keep on praying, is that God, help me to see with your eyes. Help me to see from your lens. Because one thing I will say is this: do not trust your judgment of yourself until you have verified the lens through which you are viewing yourself. Very, very important. So if you're saying, I don't have sense, but like I don't, all those conversations, it just shows that you do not have the right lens. And then that obviously, I just said, everybody's a content creator now. You know how you can have, say, your iPhone 14, 15, and then you just did not clean your lens. You now took a picture. You can see that that picture is going to be whack, not because the iPhone itself doesn't have the capability, but because the lens was not properly treated. So that is exactly how your perception can influence your ability to live effectively. And then your set of decisions, it literally shapes your choices. The choices shapes your life. And then that's basically how it goes, right? So how do you cultivate a healthy perception? I'm just going to highlight three today. Self-awareness and soul care, very important. It's basically you cultivating awareness of how you perceive yourself and situation. This literally is you sitting down and answering questions. Regularly connect with God's truth to stay grounded in who you are. It's basically, as see, this is something people don't like to do. You don't like to sit down. Sit down. And there are questions you would ask. For anybody here, I would recommend the 40 days so fast. If you don't even read the old book, start with chapter 1 for the day 1. There are about 24 questions there that when you sit down with like this, you would literally have to realize that, there's a lot about me I need to find out. So sit down, ask questions, answer those questions, and be sincere with yourself, and then take good care of your soul, reframing every negative perception. Now, this is meant to be an active thing. A lot of the time, especially because most of us actually grew up with, or even the environment we are currently in now, you most likely, it's hard to move a day without hearing something negative. And then you think that you're just hearing words. No, you are hearing things that are being, like, they're being imprinted into your soul. And this thing is subtle. It starts with a little by little by little. At least now that we are having a lot of research and we're having a lot of things coming out, we are understanding the mere exposure effect, which is something that the media is currently using to push certain agendas into our society. And then the mere exposure effect is basically putting something so much, or I mean so frequently, in the face of somebody that it now feels like, oh yeah, it's okay, it's not bad. Something that used to be like absurd or a taboo is now acceptable, sort of, Why? Because of the mere exposure effect. They actually pushed it as often as possible to the point that you felt like it's fine. Remember the days when, when you're watching a movie and then they're probably kissing in the movie, you're like, you probably. But now, like, you're seeing like movies come out with full blown, what's it called, sex, and we are having everything now. Even there was a video that I came across, and I'm like, this was meant to be a music video, and then in about 3 minutes, they were able to publicly publish, a full sex blown scene with two guys, and in my like, I'm like, and then I actually checked the views. It was in millions. And then for me, I'm like, this is this is basically the mere exposure effect coming into play. They've put it in our front so much so that, oh, we now feel like it's fine. Why don't you use that same concept to say, I am going to apply this and be intentional about reframing any negative thought? How do you do that? You reverse it. This thing is not right. This thing is not good. And then you tell yourself, it is you and you. You tell yourself, this is the standard for me and my family. This is the standard for me and my children. This is the standard. You have to repeat to yourself and remind yourself as much as possible. So you're able to reframe your challenges, and you have to give them a new definition. When you have a challenge, instead of saying, oh, I have a problem, or more, the pain don't finish us, no, you define what this is. Looking at this thing, I feel like there's an opportunity. You get, how exactly can I plug in? Okay, food prices is actually going up. Is there a way I can actually just really plug in into maybe like minor or micro farming or something? How can I actually work around this thing? That is you position yourself to actually think solution. Then lastly, emotional and spiritual alignment. All right, reduce your emotional distortion in your decision making, and then especially for we ladies. We are very emotionally driven. It is not a weakness. It can only be tailored. It is a strength that we need to actually tailor to ensure that we're able to harness that strength that we have. So you have to reduce your emotion distortion in decision making by cultivating awareness of how you perceive yourself and situations. Regularly connect with God's truth to stay grounded in who you are. Now, I've actually spoken with some people, and then I'm like, I'm trying to tell you what can happen or what it's the possibility, and they're so bent on, you don't understand, like, I just can't, I just can't. And then I'm like, okay, at this point, the focus is not giving this person solution. The focus is fixing this person's viewpoint. So that's basically what you look at when you really look at tools and knowledge. Now, perception affects your habits, right? It's important for you to know that it affects the kind of habit you choose. It affects the kind of your persistence in building that habit, and then your habits also affects your ability to design a system that works, right? I'm going to touch on that later. So some tools that you can easily use to help you, prime your perception is mindfulness and reflection, journaling, meditation, and daily reflection exercise to increase awareness, especially for guys. I know that a lot of guys usually find journaling to be very feminine. I just want to check. Let me just do a quick check. How many guys in this space journal or find journaling to be something that, oh yeah, works? How many? I just want to do a quick check. How many guys in this space? I know usually ladies will usually tilt more towards let's try. Yeah, no. Oh wow. How many people actually even embrace or use journaling or whatever? All right, Veronica, I can see your response. Are we here? Are we here? Are we here? Are we here? Oh, beautiful. Are you serious? Nice. Well done, Shay. Well done. Yeah. Okay, IVK. I know IVK, you're right now. That yours is normal. All right. So Shay, I think this is actually beautiful. For real, it's actually very beautiful. It's something that, well done to Lou. All right. So now it's something that really helps you. Two things journaling does for you. I find that a lot of people that struggle with journaling are people that have not been able to get a sense of coordination of themselves, because journaling requires you to sit put. It requires you to be present and mindful. And that can be stressful for some people, especially in this fast-paced world where we're like, let's move, let's move, let's move, let's move. Or we are so like, we just can't really sit. You just feel like, wait, let's just, and then even when we are sitting in a space, our mind is racing. So it literally forces you to discipline yourself to stay put. That's something that helps. Then feedback loop is important. I feel like no man is an island. We are social beings, so we have to be able to be open to ask for feedback. Give others feedback. It helps you to uncover your blind spot. There's some knowledge that you should actually know. Take time to research, take time to read about it. It's like it should be like your basic knowledge bank. Cognitive behavioral techniques, very important. Understanding how thoughts influence emotions and actions and helping you reshape negative patterns. Emotional intelligence framework. I think in this time where there's been a large what's it called now, accommodation or acceptance of emotional intelligence, we're beginning to see how much emotional intelligence is a differentiator. So as a person that is striving towards effective learning, it should be like at the palm of your hand. Emotional intelligence should not be something that, oh, some people know. You should know. It should be general knowledge. You should understand how to navigate your personal and professional relationships with this core skill as emotional intelligence. So very important. So now we're going to be moving to the second um pillar, which is arbitration, which is building effective habits for personal success. Are we together so far? Are we together so far? Are we together so far?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to be
Yes,
sure that
ma'am.
we're all here. Thank you. All right. So, moving on to arbitration, which is the habit formation. If you've read the book Atomic Habits, then you probably already have a hang of this, right? Because a lot of what I have here is actually drawn from the Atomic Habits, right? Because it was just so succinct, very applicable, and very relatable. All right. So, habits form the backbone of your personal effectiveness, right? And then, shall I tell you the thing about habits? You form habits normally. As a human being, you are habitual in nature. So the ability to form habits is not the problem. It's the intentionality around what habit you're going to form. That's where the core thing is. Now, this is something I learned recently. Now, a lot of the times when we are trying to hit a goal, we are so fixated on the goal that we are driving towards the goal and we forget that there's a person that you need to be to achieve that goal. A practical example, you want to be a millionaire. Oh, say Ajali is telling me now that he wants to get a certain amount of money. Say he wants to get maybe 1 billion naira or say
Yes,
maybe
yes, yes.
$500 million before the end of the year. Now, the focus, the natural person will probably just say, okay, let's chase, chase, chase. But then this is the approach, a more sustainable approach. You are sitting down. What does a millionaire look like? Who is a millionaire? Now, it helps you really look into the core that actually makes the person a millionaire. The fact that someone was able to, especially when someone is able to build from say thousands to millions to hundreds of thousands to millions, there must be something. Then you now say, okay, a millionaire in dollars is most likely very disciplined, has a strong sense of identity, has a very you know, has a good work culture. Now, what your focus should be is how do I get disciplined? How do I build a strong perception and foundation of myself? And how do I actually curate my work culture in such a way that I'm able to attain this? When you do this, you are going to get to your goal quicker. Why? As a believer, I've come to understand that the systems of this world are programmed to be attracted to a certain type of person. If you do not become that person, you are going to chase forever for something that should be chasing you. That is the concept. And that is the whole concept of human being. I always say this. You are a human being, not a human doing. We are usually very distracted by doing that we do not understand that we have to first be to attract the things that we need to do or clarify the things that we need to do. That is a good way to look at it. I want to become a homeowner in say 2025. Who do I need to be to become a homeowner? Oh, I want to grow my organization to 25 or 200 people. Who do I need to be able to help or have a company that can house 100 people? Those are salient questions, and the answers don't just come to you off the top of your head. You will sit down. You will sit down. In fact, sometimes you might even write down a list of 10 lists of things. You might research and say, okay, what are the characteristics of this kind of people? Then you will now sit down and say, okay, what are the top three things that I see? Is work, intentional work you must do. But once you do that, you can now be very, very strategic in aligning your habit. Do you understand? So now you're building your habit based on that knowledge that you already have, not based on, no, I want to get a goal, I want to, do you get? So that gives perspective to the kind of activities you will say yes to. It makes your no very strong, and you are joyed in that no. You're no longer feeling guilty for saying no, because you are clear on where you're going to. Now, while perception shapes your perspective about life, habits and actions that you take consistently create measurable progress towards your goals or otherwise. Like I said, forming habits is normal. You are an habitual person. Is either is negative or positive. But what we're trying to talk about today is intentionality in curating your habits. Now, they are the repeated behaviors that drive long-term outcomes and automate decision making. For some of us now, we have formed the habit of what's it called now, going to bed immediately we finish eating. You didn't have to do any vision board for that. You didn't have to, do confession to draw that. No, you are naturally habitual. So it's now to you now say, is this thing working for me? What habits do I want to start curating? Do you understand? And then amazingly, the way the world is, the flesh will normally tilt towards negative habits. So you now have to put intentionality. So why habits matter? Time efficient decision making, it helps you to reduce the amount of time you take making decisions. So for example, I already have like standard morning routine or standard morning habit. I already know, wake up and 15 minutes freshen up, prayer time, by 15 minutes, 30 minutes prayer. After that, next visualization. After that, I already know I'm moving on to exercise. After that, I know. So I already know my morning, I don't think much about it. I already know that process that happens between when I wake up and when the kids wake up, or when I start prepping them for school. So that it helps you to reduce the amount of time you use making decisions. Consistency over intensity, it helps you really drive. Like, I'm sure you all know the story about the man with the axe trying to cut down a tree. If it keeps hitting it and keeps hitting it, and someone just comes and he gets tired, someone comes, picks up the axe and then hits it once and it comes down. It wasn't the last strike that brought down the tree. It was the consistent strike over time. Then it helps you to shape your identity. Truth is, it's meant to be the other way around. Like I said, perception is meant to be what will fuel your habits. But one thing we're seeing is that your habits tend to give you it tends to give you a perception of who you are. For example, if you are consistently say you just exercise every day. You exercise every day, you probably will skip, probably will work, and then it sort of makes you feel like, yeah, I'm a fit farm. You see how I can just jump into saying I am, just because I've consistently done something over time. So that is also something that habits do for you. Now, this is the habit formation, science of habit formation. It was gotten from James Clear, where you have a cue. A cue is basically something that triggers an action or triggers a routine, and then the next thing that comes is the routine. That's the action itself that you are meant to take, and then the next thing is the reward. This is a cycle, and then it's important for you to understand this and apply this in your habit formation. All right, very, very important. So your cue might literally be when waking up. So you know that when I wake up, that's the cue. I know that I will need to what's it called? I know I will need to freshen up and then pray. My cue is that as long as I've woken up, the next thing that's a cue for me. Now, another cue might be something else. You might say, okay, a cue is once it's lunchtime, I know that I'm going to take a walk. Your cue there is lunchtime. The activity or routine is taking a walk. And the reward, you might decide whatever your reward will be. The reward might actually be the reward of the action you're taking. You get healthier, and then you actually be able to maybe get a particular weight, or you might attach some other additional external reward just to really further reinforce your desire to participate in that activity. So that's something that is also important for us to note. So cultivating healthy habits, first of all, you have to set clear intentions. It's very important for you to be able to say, okay, what are my intentions around this habit? Why do I want this habit? Because if you don't set that why, you will let it go. It will move fast. Like you will not be able to stay on it. You have to create an environment for success. I cannot overemphasize. I think it's something that um it's something that I actually even practice outside just personal effectiveness. I literally applied this even in parenting. I applied this even in work, and it is literally just amazing. Like even in marriage, it's something I also apply. Curating environment, like the effect of environment. Maybe earlier we had the post check, and Veronica was like, she doesn't want to share, but because oh well, she just came and saw that there were other people that had the same result that she had. All of a sudden, she could type in the answer. That is just simple environmental influence without plenty grammar. So if you do not curate your environment in such a way that it fosters and it helps you to drive your habits, then you'll be working against yourself. And this might just be the answer for some people. Why you feel like you're trying over and over again to get one habit in place and you're not getting it. You're trying to stop taking soda and all that. And then your best friend is always consistently offering you to take soda. Or you're trying to read more, or you're trying to do this, and then you are in a space whereby there is TV 247. You have to be able to curate your environment. Or you're trying to be more organized and your table looks like a lot of things is happening at the same time. All these things actually impact your ability to be successful, which is one of the things you can also do in terms of curating your environment. For example, I want to ensure that I exercise every morning. So what I do is I place my gym wear or my exercise outfit right beside my bed so that when I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing I'm going to see. One of the things I also do is that I want to ensure that I wake up at the same time every day. And what I did was that initially I started with placing my alarm all the way away from my bed so that I have to stand up to turn it off. Then when I even noticed that sometimes I will still go and turn it off and go back and sleep, I went ahead to say, okay, do you know what can I do to fix this? I went to the scripture. You know that scripture that says, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands. That's how your poverty shall pass upon. I recorded it. And then that's my alarm. That's my alarm in the morning. So whenever I hear a little sleep, a little sleep, I will not jump past before I get to the part of poverty will pass over me. Because well, for me it works. It might not be very funny or silly, but it's something that works for me. So now when I hear my alarm, I am up. As in once I just say a little, I'm up. Literally. So that works. Make use of triggers or cues, like I already explained earlier. Start with small habits. Please don't try to change the world from day one. Start with small habits. I think it was when it was 100 days, to 2025. I posted it or something online, and I said, okay, it's 100 days to the new year. What one simple thing can you start doing between now and the new year? And then funny enough, I also did that myself. I created a tracker, on my Google Sheet, and then I just started off with, oh, okay, what one habit do I want to do? And then that was actually when I set the habit of, I set the goal of visualizing for 10 minutes every day. And it was very simple for me because I created the charter. It's not anything hard. I was able to create a cue for it. So I used my prayer time as a cue. So I know that once I'm done with prayer, the next 10 minutes is before visualization. And that is literally something called habit stacking. It just really helps you to stay consistent. When you stack a new desired habit with an already existing habit that you already do. Okay, then track your process. Very important, which is why I created that tracker that I currently use. Then attach positive reinforcement. It's important for you to know, and positive reinforcement can literally come from what is the outcome that you can get from this. Who is the person that you can become by consistently doing this particular habit and all that. So you can go as far as even drawing up positive confessions. Like my exercises, there are days that I'm like, oh, success, you have control over your body is under subjection, you are the one that decides what your body does, your body doesn't. As it I can be very funny. That's why I don't go to the gym. Because if you see me do my exercise, like as success, but it is that deep. Because there's sometimes I'm like, Jesus, especially the days I have to do like core exercises, and I'm like, God, who sets me? But then I'm like, do you know what? This one I have control over my body. And funny enough, I actually learned that from Dana Channel because I know that she had given birth to two children, and then she was preparing for a marathon, and I'm like, two children, her body was not in shape in any way, and then she had to go through like rigorous training to prepare her body for the marathon. And then so a lot of the trainings that she actually shared on IG, there was just a whole lot of positive confirmation. She was like, I've done hard things, I give birth to two children, I've done other things, I can do this. So it might feel like kido shele or motivational, but it works. The things you say to yourself actually have an impact on you. Leverage accountability. One thing I did was, after I created that tracker, I just sent the link, the Google link, to my sister to say, okay, until this is what I want to do for the next 100 days. When I already told it to a couple of people, please help me consistently check. And she checked to see, okay, oh, are you consistent? The day I missed one day, laugh. I'm like, okay, it's not like you get. So that's something. Leverage accountability. Plan for obstacles. This one, especially we believers, we have this problem. We always do, is the reason why our insurance plan till today is, God forbid. In my brain, I'm like, you guys should calm down. You have to be able to realize that things happen. And then I actually learned this concept from Sam Adeyemi when he talked about futuristic planning and strategic planning, where you look at the fact that when you are planning for something, ensure you do not plan unilaterally. Plan for multiple outcomes to say if outcome A happens, outcome B happens, outcome C happens, and ensure that one of those outcomes are totally negative, just so that you already can put picture out what would your response be if this thing happens. You get, so that is it. For you to say, okay, I'm starting a business now, and then okay, you're like, based on my plan, okay, we'll break even, say, by the end of year one. Plan one, beautiful. Plan two, what if we don't break even? What is the plan? It just really helps. You see, this is actually one of the key of crisis management. It is why a lot of people go under and they lose touch of themselves in the face of challenges, just because they act like it will never happen. And the funny thing is that you have been facing challenges since you were born, and you don't want to still learn that challenges will always come. You have to be able to plan for those obstacles, then make it enjoyable. This one is something that I learned from Feel Good Productivity by what's it called, Ali Abdal. And then this is actually very key because it reinforced something that the Holy Spirit had already told me, like in school. Now, what I heard in school really then was like play, which was an acronym PLAY, which is please leave you all and yield. I interpreted that as okay, resting in God's direction and ability to guide me, right? But then coming into really read more about productivity and learn more and grow, I begin to understand that play also refers to you making your learning enjoyable. It's literally what Duolingo is doing. It's literally what you find that you're working in a space and then you're not just happy. A few tech companies have they actually seem to have gotten the concept, which is why they will make their space colorful. They will be the ones to do like what's it called now, bonding, team bonding. They'll say let's go get pizza. All those things are just to ensure that the work is actually enjoyable. The thing is that when you enjoy something, you will keep at it, and your work does not have to be, it doesn't have, you see, you not kill anybody. You don't have to be sweating up and down and then for you to be effective. No, make it enjoyable. You can sit down and think, okay, how can this work be more enjoyable? Sometimes it might just be playing your favorite song while you're working, and then it just gives you, we do it as in when I was actually working at Stanbic, something we usually would do on Fridays. On Fridays, we'll probably do like maybe old school songs or whatever. I see people, oh yeah, dancing, and you find out that you're actually doing more work because nobody's on your neck. You're not acting as if it's a life or death matter. Then you have to review and adjust regularly. This is actually something that's very important. Is this habit still serving me now? The thing is that life is in seasons, and then your ability to be able to transition and transform or evolve in accordance to your different season is very important. Else you would actually be stale. Now the habits that got you through the earlier phase of your life might not sustain you now, so it's important for you to be able to review and adjust. But then in all of this, the key skill that you require is discipline. Discipline in like everything, you require discipline to be able to set clear intentions, discipline to be able to track your progress, discipline to be able to plan, for obstacles and all that. So that's something that's very important. So for your habits, building effective habits isn't about making drastic changes overnight. It's about being consistent and incremental over time, right? If you say you want to just jump up and you're like, oh, you want to jump up, you will come down quickly. That's the idea. If you want to grow, you take steps. All right. That's the concept of growth. Be patient, be persistent, be purposeful in your habits. You have to cultivate your habit and you will see long term success. It's basically what kills people when it comes to investment. They want the one that is fast, fast, fast. Everything fast. No, I don't want to. I just want, life is in process. And there's some things that will not answer to rush, it will answer to growth. And growth is a process. So it's important for you to understand that even arbitration is a process. Some certain tools that you need habit tracking tools. You can check Habitix, you can check Streak, you can check Habitbull. Those are really active tools. I think Habitix actually even had some like gamification to theirs. You have cues and reminder tools. Google Keep is important, is good. Apple Reminder, or even your basic post-it notes, like your sticky notes on your laptop or your sticky notes maybe around you, whatever it is. Just ensure you create tools that can serve as cues for you. Time management tools also very important. Your calendar, like sincerely speaking, I think that at this stage of life, I feel like everybody should be able to um have their calendar. Have your calendar, because you are actually, because a lot of people now are driving towards many things. The people here, I'm sure that if I let me ask, a number of people here will most likely be doing multiple things at the time. like multiple jobs or multiple income stream or multiple something, something, something. And then I'm like, you're having multiple commitments, different fronts. Let me ask, how many people on this call have more than one commitment? One might be job, another might be what's it called? Another might be volunteering, another one. You shall have more than one commitment. Please just drop in the chat box. You have more than one commitment. Just drop in the chat box. You have more than one commitment. Are you guys all of you are unilateral, like one income stream? Ah, okay. Allah, Tolu, definitely. Exactly. So now you find that so every other person has just one commitment. You guys come and show me the way. Ah, I think certificate I have it. See, in this economy, you have one. No. Let's just Isaac. Let's start with one. Let's start with plus one. Do you understand? Because I know that there are people here that you literally have like 4, 5. Look at me now. When I was even introducing myself, maybe I started with Great Cedar. I now went on to, oh yeah, there's SWI. Oh yeah, there's PMP up. Oh yeah, there's NECO. Oh yeah, and then you now find out that you have that kind of life and you don't have a calendar, or your calendar is not functional, or your calendar is blank, like blank can be. It's not effective. It's not an effective way to live your life. You will constantly be rushing. You will constantly be having clashes. And then should I tell you what that does? If you're not currently in a place whereby you are even having clashing events, or you are saying yes to one without realizing you have said yes to another person and stuff like that, what you find is that you would not get to that place where you need to have that volume of commitment because you have not grown to it. And do you know the funny thing? God's mercy ensures that what you experience is what you are capable of handling. So maybe one of the things you have to start doing is organize yourself so that the next level can meet you. So your calendar should not, as in, like let's not even talk too much about it. Please put your calendar together and then integrate it. These things are not hard. You can check online, and then you can ask the tech people in the house. I know that besides the tech person, I think Isaac is a tech person. Yes, Isaac is a tech person. There is a way you can integrate all your calendars into one that you can view everything. So if anybody fixes something in your calendar on a different mail, or everything is integrated, you can easily do that. Okay, that's something you should be able to do. So moving on, I'll move quickly, then we're about to touch the last one. Positive reinforcement tools is very important, and that's where your Abitica comes in, where you have, oh, like Duolingo. Even if they've broken my heart, but there's that joy of, yeah, my streak and all that, yeah. And then when they even give you all the badges and everything, you can actually use those things as if some form of reinforcement, right? Human beings, we thrive on those things. All right. So then the knowledge you should have, understand the habit loop. I already shared that with you earlier. The cue, routine, and the reward. Sit and understand it and use it. Don't just understand it. Use it to curate habits that you want to work on. Then science of small changes is very important. There's a science behind it, and it will help you really to know that I'm not trying to create like multiple habits at once. Small changes. Then motivation versus discipline. Now, this is very important. I wanted to stay on this a bit, but because of time, I'll just move. Motivation is important, discipline is important. It's not one or the other. I find a lot of people say, I beg, I'm disciplined, whether you feel like it or not. Like there's not like, no. There is a place for motivation. There's a place where motivation stops, and there's a place where discipline takes you further. So it's important to have a mix of the two. Okay. Then habit triggers and environmental design. Environmental design is literally a full chapter in the intentional living manual, which is the book I'm curating currently, because I realized that a lot of people really bypass or look over the concept of the environment, and then they mistakenly interpret environmental design as, oh, interior decoration. I don't have money now for this to pay the economy. Now, person, no, I don't have money now to buy furniture, to buy frame. I don't. No, no. So there's actually a science around the environmental design to fuel your habit formation. That is also very important. So we'll move on to the last part. Are we still together? Are we still together? It's alignment part. I'm going to breeze through it because this one is really deep and I can't cover this here. Are we still together? Are we still together?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you. All right. So we're touching on the last part of today's session, which is the alignment. And then this speaks to systems, right? Um, The heart of alignment is the ability to create efficient systems. It makes your processes automatic and it frees up mental bandwidth for more significant decisions. Now, systems create consistency. They reduce your cognitive load and bring structure to your goals and habits. So when you create system, what you do is that you are reducing the amount of thought process you have to put into certain actions. And then James Clear in Atomic Habit mentions that we do not rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. All right. So as much as it's amazing to set goals, don't stop there. Ensure that you systemize your life. I always talk about this, that you need to live your life in a systemic way. And then systemic does not mean robotic. Systemic does not mean robotic. And then this is one thing I want to actually what's it called, show us or share with us today, is the fact that there is a level of spontaneity that is required in your life, right? However, there's a level of planning and intentionality that is required in your life also. You can't live your life solely based on routines, right? It's going to be a very mundane, robotic life, and your brain will literally be not creative, all right, because of that. But then you have to have a healthy balance between your routine and then your spontaneity is very important. So now your routine items, you can easily systemize those where you can, and then it now gives room for your brain to be put into spontaneous activities, right? So system is a repeatable process or framework where that helps you achieve specific goals with minimal conscious efforts. Now, it's a set of connected parts where you have your habits, your routine, and the tools, everything working together in a predictable way, reducing friction and improving efficiency. Why exactly is it okay or needful to create systems? Consistency over perfection. You're able to stay consistent when you have a system running. You're able to minimize decision fatigue because making decisions is actually a very strenuous activity for the brain. It stretches it. Now, it leverages time and resources. And this is just like on the side note, minimizing the decision fatigue is really real. That is why an average guy, when you ask him what are you going to eat, it's like you are stressing his life because decision making is actually very. There's an art to it. There's an art to it. There are steps to making effective decisions. These are some of the things that I'm actually going to cover in the book. There are steps to practical steps to making effective decisions. So it's a skill. It's not just something, oh, just because you can say, oh, yeah, I'll just choose B, I'll just choose A. It's a skill. There are considerations to put into place when making decisions. Then systems serve as a foundation for growth. When you've already laid a system, you can easily grow, you can be flexible, you can jump off, you can explore other things because why you have a system that is in place. Okay. So now, how do you build effective system? First of all, identify the core repeated activities that you do daily, right? Or monthly or weekly or something. So for example, I tell you that I usually send, maybe I usually would send a particular amount to someone monthly, or maybe I send maybe a certain dues or something monthly. I can just, you know what, I have that thing happens automatically. I'm like, okay, do you know what? Let me just try and see how I can automate that, so that the money automatically goes. So I did that with my Islamic wallet. Then we have a wallet, and then we have the bank account. So it was automated because it's something you do every month. So oh well, it will be automatically deducted from your account into the wallet. That is you identifying what are the core repeated activities that you do daily. Then create a sequence or framework. So if you now find out, okay, there are some activities that really work together, can we just create a sequence? It helps you to really go through. Then optimize for simplicity and efficiency. When you create a sequence, you might even see that some of the tasks or activities I'm doing really doesn't make sense. These are the best ways to do this. Or what's the different approach to do this? You're able to optimize, then automate where possible. The idea is to minimize the need for you to actively engage. And the concept for that is it gives you free time to be more creative. I was having a conversation earlier today on the whole AI concept and everything, automation. And then one of the things I really understood or noticed, I think it was also discussed in my MBA course, is that one of the things that automation does for you, it is not a license to replace your effectiveness. It is meant to be a push to drive you to creativity. So this now brings us back to perception again, how you see things. We have a lot of people now that are lamenting, AI has come to take over, AI is taking over our job, and we don't get the fact that you are a creative being. You are literally made in the likeness of God. You function like God. So when you are having a technological advancement that is coming up and it seems to be taking over the mundane things that you do, it should be a push to say that, oh, okay, that means there must be something more valuable that I should be using my brain to do. Find it. So that is basic. That's literally the mindset or the thought process through which you should actually be thinking. Then test, adjust, and refine. So these are the core elements of a strong system. For you to assess that your system is actually strong, it must be repeatable, it must be flexible, and you must be able to measure it. You must be able to measure if it's effective or not. And then flexibility in the terms that, and then why flexibility is important, because if it's not flexible, that means the tendency for it to be able to grow or be improved is not there. So that's why you have flexibility. It means that there's a room for you to actually improve that system, because your systems are actually meant to evolve over time, as you are evolving in your life. So these are just some practical examples of like effective systems. You have financial system, for example, automating your bill payment, tracking your expenses, reviewing finances periodically. You already know that, okay, that's something I'm going to be doing. Health and wellness system, you could say, okay, I'm going to be doing like meal prep over the weekends, or setting automatic reminders for workout sessions and all that, or following a regular sleep schedule. This sleep schedule, I have hacked it. Maybe because I like sleep or something like that. But then ensuring that I sleep by this time, I wake up by this time. I sleep by this time, I wake up by this time. And then, do you know one thing I found that this did for me was that the fact that I built this routine earlier, even when I got to the phase where, okay, we have the early parenthood phase and whatever that, okay, they say the child will not sleep and blah, blah, blah. I was already thinking about how do I navigate this thing? How do I navigate this thing? How do I navigate? It spurred me to really think on the ways to go about it. Like today, like this now, it's a toddlers don't sleep on time. And then I think I was having a conversation with someone yesterday or so. I think sometime last week. And they were like, how exactly do you get your toddlers to sleep by 8? They sleep by 8, and then they usually wake up maybe like 5 or 6 or something like that. And I'm like, how do you get them to sleep? And I'm like, I sat down, I sat down to think, because I'm like, my sleep is important to me. That's the reason. You might say it's selfish, but oh well, it's a win-win situation. It benefits everybody. So for me, I now realize that, okay, it's actually a matter of energy usage, right? It's energy management. And then I realized that, okay, you have a lot of energy to expend. So what I do is that I ensure that they expend the energy. They do a lot of gymnastics, they do a lot of tumbling, they do a lot of play, whatever. You want to fly, fly, you want to jump, jump. I ensure that, in fact, there are days we're like, okay, let's play ball. We'll all get exhausted together. And then before you know it, by 7:30, their eyes already closing. And then it just works. It just works. And the matter might not be a template. Like I said, I'm not giving you template to replicate in your life. I'm giving you template of what can work so you can tailor to what works for you. So I find that works consistently for me every day. And I've even tested it to the fact that some days when I even take them to say my mom's place, and then I noticed the difference. If they're in my mom's place, they will probably be awake till like 10, 11, sometimes before they go to bed, because they're not actively engaging themselves physically. They're most likely, my mom will most likely put them in front of the TV. They'll watch cartoon, and then they're not exhausted. They've not expended energy. They've not done anything. And then they're still awake, eyes sharp by 10 o'clock, by 11 o'clock. All right. So I tested that and I realized that, oh, this actually works. But why did I go and think about that? Because I already had a system that worked. So it was easy for me to think, how do I make other things that are coming fit into this system, because I can see that the system is working. So you also can have work systems, structuring your work day around your deep focus sessions and everything. Some coordination tools to use. Notion. I am obsessed with Notion. In fact, Notion is basically what I use to organize my entire life. As drilled down as my parenting plans, my financial plans, my prayers, my confessions, the different categories of prayers. I run a prayer schedule. By the way, on that system, I'll probably show you what just an overview of what my Notion board looks like. It's like everything. It just helps me know that everything is in one place. That's literally what it does for me. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get back to this so that I can show you. All right. So now the goal of today, right? Systems are like the backbone of your personal effectiveness because they transform intentional actions into automatic habits, fostering alignment between who you are today and who you aim to become. That's the idea. So the goal really is to align your habits and behavior with your vision and purpose. It's not that you have different habits and your system, your creating system, you're not creating system maybe from the system that success showed you. You're not looking at how the system aligns with your habits, analyze your past, everything has to link up. A smoother path, the outcome of this will be a smoother path to personal growth and success through structured and reliable systems that reinforce your life. So before I wrap this up, I like to show us I like to show us like just a practical example of what like a coordinated space can look like, and it's something you can do for it. It doesn't take that much. Okay, so you can just see your response. I'm literally their gymnastics teacher at the moment. Thank God I did gymnastics when I was younger, and I'm not that bad at the moment. Like at least I can still do my iron bender and cartwheels and the rest. So I'm not that bad. So let me share my screen so that I can show you what my this thing looks like. Where is my Notion? Okay, let me just share my window so that I want to show you guys what this looks like so that all right. So please can you confirm what you are seeing? Can you confirm to me what you're seeing?
Your Notion
Can you
home
confirm
page.
to me what you're seeing?
Everything
Personal
is
home.
fine.
All right, beautiful. Okay, so don't worry, I've hidden all the things that matters to my dollars and everything. So this is just a practical example of like what my Notion board looks like, right? And then this is my own personal home, right? And then maybe like my daily tracker. Obviously, my daily tracker, I basically do the Eisenhower method. I obviously start with like every other IT. So this is where I put every random activity or task. In fact, if someone comes and tells me today now, let's go and skydive tomorrow, this is where I'm going to put it. Even if I'm going to do it at some point or not, I shall drop it inside here, which is the activity backlog. Then when I want to now create for the month, I'm like, okay, what are the activities and things I want to ensure that I finish in this month? And this is where I put that in my monthly backlog. So now if I want to now do like, okay, every of my Sunday review or plan for the week, I'm pulling out from my monthly backlog. Say, okay, what exactly do you want to do this week? Okay, I want to finish recording for week 2 and week this. I want to finish recording for the. I just put in my spring backlog so that when I'm actually doing my to-dos for the day, it is actually very aligned, right? I already removed my daily activities, don't worry, because they're quite personal. So the daily activities, I can now drill it down to say, okay, this is where I am. And then I now put it to what are the things that are important? What are the things that are urgent, what are the things that are not urgent. I literally do that so that it helps me focus. So if you come to me and tell me that you are about to faint, and then that is urgent, but it's not necessarily important. This is something that I was having a conversation yesterday, and it might come off as not empathetic, but this is how I see it, right? It's not a general rule of thumb, by the way. All right. So for me, this is how I see. If someone comes to me for needs such as, oh, my wife wants to give birth, or rent, or school fees, I don't take you seriously because you literally had 12 months to plan for that. You had 9 months. Like delivery is not a surprise. We all know that you take about 38 to 40 weeks to do that. A lot of the time, a lot of the things that we actually are pressured about is because we didn't plan properly. And then because we did not keep those things in our front. And why do we fall into that? And funny enough, it's not intentional. Some people don't just intentionally jump into not planning. A lot of the time you have a lot of things happening with you. Today you are thinking about this, before you finish thinking about it, that thing has come up and it's possible for you to be overwhelmed. My point is, do not see it. I don't rate myself like that too. I'm sorry, I will forget. I know I will forget. There's nothing you want to tell me, I will forget. If I don't write it down, I will forget. I don't rate myself. A lot of us, we overhype ourselves. We just believe that now we remember. See, treat yourself like you would treat like maybe a child. But currently for my toddlers, what I even do with their to do, maybe they're back from, because they have a back from school routine or their morning routines, because obviously they can't read at the moment. So I use pictures. The picture of a baby brushing, and then after that, picture of a baby wearing their clothes. After that, picture of baby taking breakfast. They see the pictures and they can already tell that, okay, this is, I'm done with this, I'm done with that. See, they might not remember. I might repeat it like how many times. We are going to have your back. Come, come. But when I put that there, they can see it, that this is what they're meant to do, starting from this, starting from this, starting from that. So this is actually something I want to beg. You don't have to use Notion, but anything you want to use that works for you. Do not overhype yourself. Give yourself some slack. Write down everything so that you are not not in that space whereby you are constantly in that point of emergency, you're constantly rushing, you're constantly pressured, you can actually live a life that is void of pressure by proper planning. That's very important. So this is basically what my daily tracker looks like. Then the personal home here speaks to like I mentioned to you, this is basically how I curate my life and all the things that I plan. So whenever I see any opportunity come and I'm asking, okay, where does it fit into this? And then I already know what these my priorities are in all of this. And I'm like, okay, where does it fit? And I can easily work towards that. Same thing as my parenting plan. What exactly separate? There are different parenting plans for both of them, but I create them together because it's a lot of information. I can't recall everything. But whenever I come here, even for like, okay, my place as a wife, my place as a husband, is very important. As much as even prayers, I do not pray like, okay, like just run like we pray as the spirit leads. Yes, the spirit will lead you, but you have to put structure in place. There's prayer for Monday, there's prayer for Tuesday, there's prayer focus for Wednesday, and then there are also deliberate. So I might be listening to a message now randomly, and I see and I hear the prayer point in that message or a scripture or something in that message. I feel like, this is a good prayer to pray for my family. I just come here straight. I have this notion on my phone. I just come there straight and I impute it, maybe under Damlari David, or under Sosa, or under Penny. I just impute it there because I might forget. So whenever it's time for like Wednesday prayer time, I know that okay, I literally would read out all my prayers and do that. Same thing as confessions. It's very important for us to have this in mind. So I use this because I realize that it works, and then it reduces the amount of things I need to remember. Okay, so I think that that's something that I feel would work. Okay, so let me just move back to rounding this off. We're going to just wrap up now, and I'm going to be done in the next 5 minutes. Okay, so now let me know, what are you seeing on my screen now?
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Okay, yeah. So that is the link, right? Your systems emerge from a clear perception of what's important, and then they're sustained by effective habits. That's literally where they come together. So together, they create a feedback loop where each pillar stands and strengthens the other. So that is exactly the concept of today. So there are key things you have to take away today. Balance between routine and spontaneity is crucial for holistic effectiveness. That I said, oh, plan and do doesn't mean you're going to plan every hour of your day. You can actually plan your spontaneity to say, do you know what, between 12 and 3, I'm not putting anything that comes at that time, I'll do. That is you being spontaneous. Then you have personal effectiveness is not just about achieving more, but it's about doing what matters. And I can't emphasize this enough. It's not about doing plenty of things. Is that if I go now, the things I've done now, will they really mean that much to me? This question needs to be asked, especially when we are most times, making career decisions or job choices or even decisions on the job. When we are choosing to miss certain milestones in our lives just because we are trying to gain a certain reward, immediate reward, we need to look at decisions from the holistic point of view. Would this thing matter to me in so amount of time? In the grand scheme of things, would this thing still matter? It's important to note, right? Perception helps you focus on the right things. Habits helps you ensure your actions are consistent towards a goal, and system provides the structure needed to scale effectiveness and prevent burnout. Okay, so your next steps, what I expect you to do from today, uh, create a personal effective plan for yourself. It's something you should do. It's very important. List one perception shifts you need to make. You've heard all I said today. Like I said, I don't expect you to carry everything I said today. No, you don't need it. What's the one thing that you know you need to actually make adjustment with? Identify one habit that you need to implement and design or refine your system to be able to accommodate and foster that habit. That is your assignment. That's your next step for you to take. And then I'll just recommend to you a book to read, especially for this our time, because a lot of us are very busy. And that's not the idea. That's not the goal. Essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less, is a very, very sound book that helps you to reframe your concept of prioritization. Essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less, very, very sound book. Atomic Habits is something I would always recommend to anybody any day. It helps you to create and systemize your life for actual growth and continuous learning. Other apps you can explore: Notion. Then Trello. Notion is actually free for a number of blocks. Then yeah, so you can explore that. Abitika also, and then Trello. You can also explore those apps with that for your habits tracking. Okay, so that is it for me for today. Thank you so much. I think over to you. That is it for today.